I am Shirakawa from Ohe.horseline. It's a pleasure to be here.
Thank you. In a previous video, we mentioned that the Subcontract Act will be replaced starting this January. It's now DC,
December 31st. So, it's tomorrow, right?
isn't it?
We're filming this on New Year's Eve, but yes, the law changes tomorrow.
The Subcontract Act is becoming the Fair Trade Act. I'm not really sure what's changing though.
I haven't looked into the details either, but as we've discussed on this channel before, it's about the multi-layered subcontracting structure that persists in many industries, similar to the work style reforms. It's the same in IT and everywhere else. Only the primary contractors make money. The companies actually working on the front lines, the ones at the very bottom of the chain, are forced to work for rates that don't even allow for a decent profit. It was in the news recently, so I guess it's okay to mention, but last year, in 2025, I went into that supermarket for the first time, the famous Lopia. They've expanded into Hokkaido, taking over where Ito Yokado pulled out. They have so much stuff, it's really interesting. Since it was my first time, seeing their selection of side dishes and bento boxes was so different from what I usually see. Well, I usually only go to Max Value.
You're a max value user, right? Yes.
I really enjoyed it, but it also made it crystal clear what it actually takes to keep prices that low. Being able to offer things at such abnormally low prices usually means someone is being squeezed, whether it's through procurement or by cutting staff to the bone. In restaurants, you might wait forever for your order because they're so understaffed. It shows up somewhere.
So is this law intended to correct those kinds of issues?
Exactly. It reminds me of that issue from a while back with the major beef bowl chains where the term one-man operation became quite... Yes. Working under such harsh conditions is just not normal. This multi-layered subcontracting structure is a deeply rooted business practice in Japan. But we can't keep doing this forever. We'll run out of workers if we keep treating them like that. And with this inflation, we can't raise wages if things stay this way. We can't increase pay for Japanese workers, even as prices rise. From the government's perspective, they probably feel they have to address this. Basically, they're moving to weed out companies that can't turn a profit. I've mentioned before that the transport industry is facing this too. One of the government's goals is to phase them out, but it's also a way to help by cracking down on the larger companies that use their power to bully those below them. That's the current trend. The Subcontract Act is one thing, work style reforms are another. In transport, for example, a new law in 2025 requires a contract every time, and so on. I see,
right.
You have to clearly state the freight rates and such. It's actually quite strange. Most general consumers probably don't realize this, but laws have recently been introduced that basically say you must promise to pay the fee.
A promise to pay? Isn't that just common sense? Well, common
sense isn't being practiced in some places. That's why these laws are emerging, requiring that it be clearly stated at the contract stage.
So you mean including that in the written contract?
Exactly. It means you have to clearly state the amount. Otherwise, even if there was an agreement to do the job for a certain price, once the invoice is issued, in extreme cases, only half might get paid.
Oh, I see.
If you don't set a deadline, they might not pay even after a year. They'll say, I'm going to pay, so just wait, okay? That's the power balance and the one on top.
Who says that, right? Oh, I see. I'm not
saying I won't pay.
It's like with debt repayment. If you pay even once, the law recognizes you have the intent to pay. Well, I suppose that's how it is. It's always been the case that the smaller players get the short end of the stick.
I've been saying this for quite a while now, but I really do wonder, I honestly wonder, what those people who bully the weak actually think will happen to them once the weak are gone. I truly wonder just how long they can keep on acting that way.
True. Regarding ohe.horseline, what kind of impact does this law regulating the subcontracting structure have?
Regarding that, I haven't really looked into it much. Based on the limited information I've seen, it probably won't have an impact, so I haven't researched it in detail. Yes.
So, it doesn't seem like there will be any changes in how you deal with your clients, like the trainers and horse owners, or any impact from them?
That's right. Well, there might be people involved in contracts within this industry somewhere, but if we're just talking about horse transport, I don't think it's relevant. Under the current
setup, it would be when ohe.horseline asks various subcontractors to transport horses.
That might be the extent of it, if anything. So we have to understand these things, look ahead, and adapt to the trends of the world. In many ways, prices are really going to keep rising. The business practices we've followed until now are changing, and we won't be able to do things that way anymore.
When things that were once taken for granted are no longer possible, wages, well, I'd like to see wages rise too. And then it's only natural that it will affect prices and services and everything else.
That's right, yeah.
The day before yesterday, a friend who used to live in Australia came to Japan and we met. They visited last December too. After coming back for the first time in a year, they said this was the first time they really noticed prices in Japan had gone up. Before, even though people said prices rose, they didn't feel it, but this time they really feel things are much more expensive. From a global
perspective, Japan is a country where prices haven't risen much at all. For decades, neither prices nor wages have gone up. Back in the day, during the bubble era, which I've only really heard stories about, whether it was small businesses or large corporations, people would go to places like Asia to have fun because it was cheap. Everyone would spend their pocket money there and have a great time. There was definitely an era like that, yes. Well, from a global standpoint, Japan has become a cheap country. The weak yen is part of it, but prices just haven't risen here, have they, right? Even with the weak yen, prices overseas have increased several times over, haven't they? It's really cheap here. When you think about it that way, Japan is just too cheap. It's become a country where you can have fun on a budget.
I've been in Tokyo for about 3 days now, and it's almost all foreigners. There aren't many Chinese tourists right now, but, well, for Japanese...
People, you can't help but feel that this country needs to change properly, right? Yes.
You really do. Well, it's a question of how much the government will take the lead on that, isn't it? That's...
True. In Japan, if the government doesn't set the track, the private sector finds it hard to take action. That's probably part of it. And since Japan isn't the kind of country where riots happen, it's quite difficult for the private sector to lead. It's tough, so it comes down to the government. But relying too much on the state, well, I don't think it's good for the Japanese people or business owners either. We have to decide for ourselves how we're going to live. That's why, yeah. However, as a nation, I think we have to maintain that kind of stance. But, you know, from the public's perspective, there's often a lot of heckling. Well, I suppose that's just how the news is, right? They only chase what gets ratings or numbers that please the viewers. They probably only show the sensational parts, but there are politicians who are actually working hard and changing laws. For instance, like this Subcontract Act we're discussing, we need to be aware that these movements are happening behind the scenes. There are so many laws that get passed without us even realizing it. There are plenty. Laws that affect us directly, or things like support grants in the areas where we live. People who know about them can receive them, but the majority of people don't even know they exist. I do wonder about that way of doing things.
I wouldn't have known about this Subcontract Act if I hadn't heard about it here. Since I'm on the side that becomes the subcontractor, if there's a formal discussion like this with the client, I can actually tell them, please follow the law.
So, the laws have been changing lately to allow those at the bottom to speak up more strongly to those at the top.
And the subcontractors don't even know that, right?
Exactly. So, well, in industries where there are just too many so-called contractors crowded together, it's still a bit... I don't think the power balance will shift easily, but in areas where things are tightening up, well, with the population declining, it's natural for things to get tighter. It's becoming impossible to just say, no thanks, I'll go elsewhere. That's definitely happening, and it'll continue. Even crowded industries will surely end up that way, and...
In places like Tokyo, there are still many. They can still crowd the market, right?
That's true.
But in the countryside where I go now, they don't crowd like that. Well, if someone says they want a website, there are basically no options at all. It's like healthy competition can't happen, so you're stuck with just one choice. And for...
Nation 2, right.
Since there's no criteria to choose from?
They don't know how to get it. Well, that's where online work comes in. You can hire creators online, and they can deliver it online, so you don't need someone local. But if you don't have that knowledge, you'll just end up thinking that way.
Since they think that way, it seems tough. And also, on the flip side, people in the countryside still prefer face-to-face, so I feel like by actually going there, you can really win them over. If you do it right. Exactly. That's why I'm thinking of redoing my business cards for the first time in a while. My own cards, and...
But it's really just starting to change. There are still many people who value face-to-face interaction, so there are definitely opportunities there. After all, rather than just being online, meeting in person has a certain, well, energy or passion. And in the same 1 hour, the amount of information conveyed is just much greater. Yeah, it would be, right. And
because of that, when I went independent a few years ago during the pandemic, I thought precisely because we can do things online, I should focus on face-to-face. I really wanted to go and meet people.
information, right? I think there are pros and cons to both. Meeting in person takes travel time, costs money, and requires effort. So work that can only be requested or done in person definitely comes with those costs. Well, so it's a matter of whether you can justify that cost for the benefits. With online meetings becoming so common, it's just standard now. You schedule a meeting for 1 p.m. Everyone's used to it, so it ends exactly in 1 hour, right? Then for the next online meeting at 2 p.m., as soon as the screen switches, both the other person and yourself can jump into the next meeting with only a few dozen seconds of lag. No travel.
So there's no waste.
Exactly, though there is no time to even go to the bathroom. Yeah.
From now on, with the Subcontract Act changing to the Fair Trade Act and other laws too, I wonder if things will get better. I'm curious to see how it goes.
It's true for everything, but when change happens, all sorts of things, well, obstacles, I guess, all sorts of things tend to crop up. But if you're afraid of change in an era of such rapid change, well, things are only going to change more and more from here on out. With the pace accelerating, you can't really afford to be complaining about change, you know?
Yeah, you just have to get on with it. Change
is a given. Adapting to change is a given. It's only natural that those who can't adapt will be weeded out. It's like that old saying, right? Animals that are built for the cold will go extinct, or whatever, if a hot era comes along, and vice versa. So only those who can adapt to change will survive. Yes, and that's what's happening in the real world.
It is, isn't it?
Becoming that way.
The era of working for the same company for your whole life is really over now.
That's true.
When you think about it, people often say that Japanese companies find it hard to fire people or hard to lay them off. Well, in places like America, that's the worst case scenario. But even over there, well...
That's also because of the lifetime employment system that Japan has maintained for so long. Yeah, we've been doing it for quite a long time now. Management, the law, and the Japanese people themselves. The workers are the same way. Well, for now, maybe that fits, or rather, people have become too accustomed to it and can't adapt to change. So, that's where a strange distortion is occurring, especially with the younger generation. Well, it's the same now, but there are so many new graduates or people who've just gotten job offers, and many college students are like this too, who think, I got into a big company, I'm a winner. There are just too many people with that misconception. Once they actually start, they usually, well, quit in 1, 2, or 3 months, yeah. And they join focusing on things like having lots of time off or good benefits. Well, you're not going to survive like that. When various patterns emerge, even within the same department of the same large company, yes, those who can work with fewer days off or on weekends definitely get better treatment. Companies like that are increasing from the start, but then they say they want to prioritize their life-work balance.
Work-life balance, right?
Because they want to prioritize that, they want weekends and holidays off for sure, and no overtime. Then they join and only do what they're told. Yeah, I won't do overtime, I'll just get through what I'm told to do. For someone thinking like that, how long can they keep creating value for the company or remain necessary? There was a time, when you were rewarded for how much you did. Even in Japan, people say lifetime employment is over. Even while saying it's gone, for Japanese people, for office workers and such, it's because they've stayed a long time that they've acquired skills, or rather knowledge and expertise, so companies feel they can't let them go, right? And that's exactly why the younger generation is becoming like that. The young people coming in, with the population shrinking, hiring itself is tough. Many people don't see a future, so companies end up clinging to veterans.
I feel like there are many people who only think about themselves. This too.
I'm not sure if it's a law yet or not, but you're not supposed to make people do work not specified in the job posting.
Oh, is that so?
Apparently, but that's just impossible, isn't it? Yeah. I don't know how much you have to specify, but...
Exactly. Like I said in a previous video, you have to keep it vague, like tasks related to this, or else.
It's impossible, because those tasks themselves will disappear as times change. like with AI taking over. So if that job is gone, it basically means you can just let that person go.
Well, if that's the case, then fine, but
Right, but young people think, oh, if I just do this, if I just do my part, and since they aren't asked to do anything else, they think they only need that one skill. That's a problem, because if that task is gone, they're out. People who think like that don't study or make an effort, so they aren't useful elsewhere, right? They probably aren't even useful at that company, let alone anywhere else.
they can only do jobs that anyone could do. I think there are many like that now, not just among the youth, but mid-career workers too. Even those in their mid-30s to 40s say, I'm doing my job, so give me a raise. But
You wonder what they're actually doing. Exactly. So the country is really heading in that direction. The transport industry is no exception. So we have to adapt to that. Considering various things, I want customers to know that things are definitely changing. I really don't think you need to know all the laws outside of your own business. Honestly, you just can't keep up with everything. To be blunt, every man to his own trade. So you just need to understand what the experts are actually saying. However, you just need to be able to judge whether they are truly getting new information and doing the right thing.
I think that's fine. This was quite educational for me since I didn't know about it. And with that, I think we're out of time. Thank you very much.
Thank you. At ohe.horseline, we are looking for drivers. Please check the recruitment site or corporate site in the description. And if you're interested, we'd love for you to apply.